This actual play is intended for mature audiences and contains themes some viewers may find upsetting. Please check each episode's show notes for specific content warnings and enjoy the show with care.
Okay, we are back with the Between. Let's do some recapping. So, last time you managed to resolve the Limehouse Lurker. You confronted this powerful young vampire at a church because this vampire, it turns out, is really puritanical in its way, ironically perhaps. And you taunted it, baited it, confronted it, and destroyed it. And so that is what happened there. Several rewards were acquired as a result of that. I am going to let Ms. Quinn participate in some of the rewards, even though you weren't here for that session, Ms. Quinn. First and foremost, you get to mark 1 XP for resolving the threat, so go ahead and do that. Also, Ms. Quinn, everyone, or most people, got to claim a memento from the investigation, something that we either saw or was implied in the gameplay that your character gets to take as for their personal quarters. And so you, Ms. Quinn, get to ask another player or myself to give you something from the investigation that you get to add to your PQ. You have to choose who's going to do it.
I'm fascinated to know what Dr. Mortimer would let Cecelie have.
Ooh, interesting. I would like to think that at the church where this child vampire met its demise, there were robes from some religious figurehead that maybe led the church, be it a priest, be it maybe even someone higher. But these robes are lined with gold. They are immaculate. One of the only things that didn't come back bloodstained. And they have the essence of that purifying smoke. Everything about these robes feels pure and sanctified. And I think that would be something that Cecelie would appreciate. It's either that or something much, much worse. So.
Fantastic. If that sounds good to you, please go ahead and add that to your PQ. You also, the whole house got another advancement. So you'll notice on the tab that says move/reference, there's a central column for Hargrave House advancements. You have the map room from a couple sessions ago, but you also have a new resident of Hargrave House. Jenny Johnston, the opium den dealer, now has some official formal connections to Hargrave House. I don't think she's always there, but you can seek her help. And when you consult her about matters related to East London, you get 1 extra clue on the information move, even on a miss. And so that's worth noting. I will note that if you ever want to consult with Jenny Johnston, it's always done on her terms. That's true of any new resident. So I will always frame up the scene where you find Jenny if you wish to consult her about things. And I will also tell you, this is strictly out of character information, after you have consulted with Jenny a certain number of times, it actually unlocks a whole new event in the game. So just be aware of that as well. So that is something to be mindful of. Let's see, what else do we have for recapping. So you have 2 other active threats that are not resolved: the Demon of Kilburn Abbey and the new one, Sally No Face. Now, we'll talk about the Demon of Kilburn Abbey. The probably most important or interesting thing about that one currently is not even necessarily connected to the demon, which is that Dr. Gastrell is wooing the corpse, making dinner for her, and Dr. Mortimer stumbled in on this, and it was a really, really weird scene. But it's mostly harmless. Also, Dr. Mortimer had the audacity, the gall, and the nerve to get mad about Dr. Gastrell's behavior toward corpses, earning Dr. Mortimer the condition hypocrite. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, another thing that came up. So in probably more practically useful terms, Ms. Jean-Baptiste actually went to the space in the Abbey, in the wine cellar where the body was found, walled up. Found out some interesting information there, almost got taken over by the demon, but also found Mrs. Brathwaite lurking around in the same place, giving you another mastermind clue. We'll get to mastermind clues in a moment. The other active threat is this serial killer, Sally No Face, a serial killer of legend, or at least a character from local legend that a serial killer is assuming the guise of. This person is killing people in Whitechapel by, well, we know how they're using poison to paralyze them, and then they are carefully surgically removing their faces. And so this person is stalking the streets of London presently. Hargrave House's connection is really personal because I believe it was the Factotum who had a relationship to one of the victims, right? Yeah. So that's the situation there. You have 3 clues, and there are 3 possible ways of resolving that particular threat. I'll let you refer to the character keeper. You have 5 mastermind clues on your 8 complexity mastermind question right now. And taking a look at the hunters are actually doing okay on conditions. Dr. Mortimer, you have a couple, and Ms. Jean-Baptiste has 1. Haskell's not here, so we're not going to be concerned with Haskell at the moment. And so I think that's a pretty fast and dirty but thorough recap. Do you have any questions, anyone? Fantastic. In that case, we will head over into the day phase. About 1 week has passed since the events of the last night phase. We have less than 3 active threats, and so I'm going to introduce a new threat. I will note, however, that this threat is a special kind of threat called a side threat. It does not count toward your total number of threats that are active. Furthermore, it does not count towards moving the campaign along at all. It is a side thing. I will also note, though, as you'll see, it's not particularly dangerous. So let me read the description to you. This side threat is called the Reaver's Last Victim. Some years ago, a former member of Hargrave House was captured and executed after it was discovered that he was the legendary serial killer Roger the Reaver. A shadow was lifted off of London back then, but some of its darkness remains to this day. The remains of his last victim, Anton Farrow, were never found. Every year, on the day of his death, one of Anton's family members has come to Hargrave House to lay down a bouquet of flowers, lacking a better place to do so. However, this year, they actually knocked on the door. When you opened the door, a middle-aged man, William Farrow, stood before you, saying, "You know, my mother, Anton's mother, she's gotten really sick. She's old and life has taken a lot out of her. I don't think she has that much time left. I just wish she could know that Anton found some peace before she dies. You're supposed to be so good at this kind of stuff. How come none of you ever found him, huh? I guess you would have to care." After delivering his speech, he placed the flowers on the ground and left. And now I have to ask a question of the 3 of you. Which of you has worked at Hargrave House the longest?
Oh, now that's an interesting question.
That's a very interesting question.
I think Cecelie,
Mm.
personally. There is a knowledge.
Immortality will do
Yes.
that.
Yeah, a knowledge and a know-how and a general sense of immortality, maybe.
I think that's quite possible. I think Cecelie has been here for more years than seems to make entire sense with her appearance.
I like the idea maybe there is a portrait on the wall that looks very similar to you, but is dated like 1729.
And there is not a scar upon that portrait. It looks
Not one.
lovely.
Well, then the question I have for you, Miss Quinn. You knew Roger personally while you both worked at Hargrave House. You knew what he was doing long before he was caught. Why did you never do anything about it?
Well, he never bothered me. Why should I bother him?
Indeed. You have a question here. Where are the remains of Anton Farrow hidden? It is a complexity 2, and the opportunity is to resolve the side threat by finding his remains and letting his family lay them to rest. Now, it's only a complexity 2, but I will say that this side threat has a special rule for investigating it, which is this. The information move is not available when investigating this side threat. Rather, once per day cycle or day or night cycle, whenever you take the time to do so, you can narrate a short scene where you visit one of the crime scenes of Roger the Reaver, talk to relatives of the victim, go through official records, or do similar work. You must name and describe one of the victims as part of this, and if you do so, you find a clue. And that is the process for investigating this side threat. You can do it once a day. And you have 3 night phases to get it done before Anton's mother dies without knowing peace. That's out of character.
Woof.
And furthermore, you do have an aspect of the Janus mask available called the Mask of Apathy. So bear that in mind as well. So, my dear apathetic hunters of Hargrave House, you have 3 active threats. I'm happy to give you some leads on the other 2 if you need them still. We're going to go around the table and find out what everyone is interested in doing today. I'm going to start with Ms. Jean-Baptiste.
Okay. My plans are thrown out of whack now. Thinking about this. Okay. I'm going to deal with the demon tonight. So today, I already have a plan for that. So today, I think I'm going to dedicate some time to this other one that we now have.
I just need to know then, where are you going? You get to make up the place that you go to search for the remains of a victim or where a victim was previously found. Be thinking on it. Dr. Mortimer, what about you?
I've investigated the body of Sally No Face and performed a thorough autopsy. The victim of Sally No Face, I should say. There is no body that Roger the Reaver has left that I would know the location of currently. I am going to have to face my fears and knock on one Dr. Bartholomew Gastrell and finally examine the body found in Kilburn Abbey. So I will be heading back to the mortuary to take a look. And hopefully he's not having tea with it this time.
We shall see. That's a good move. Ms. Quinn.
Cecelie, she looks down at that bouquet of flowers that was left by Mr. Farrow, and she pulls a couple of carnations out and says, dreadfully gauche for a morning bouquet, and weaves them into the band of the hat she's wearing decoratively, and decides to take a stroll that might just happen to take her through a park that has some significance.
Fantastic. I think then we've got a couple of we're getting some good scenes set up here. Miss Quinn, you know where you're going. You're going to a park where possibly a body was found. I will remind you what you actually have to do in this scene, because it's really all on you. You will narrate a short scene where you visit the crime scene in some way, to either talk to victims, go through records, or just do some kind of work. And then you will name and describe one of the victims, and then define the clue that helps you locate Anton Farrow. So it's a big ask, but it's a free clue essentially. So, but it's story time for me. I love building in things to my games where I get to just sit and listen as the keeper. That's the trick. Same thing though for you, Ms. Jean-Baptiste. I just need to know where you're going.
I think Phoebe ends up taking a ride to Tottenham. It's dreary and there are people on the streets, as you would expect. She navigates down a few alleyways, heading towards the canal, and just off a little ways down before it becomes the estuary, there's just a little bit of tree cover, and it's in this glade that the victim, she was known by Missy at the time, but her name was Eveline. Eveline was found most of Eveline was found placed nicely in a little grove, a bit arranged, like someone had put her there with purpose. The rest of her was found further down the canal. And I think she goes to this spot. It's not as well kept. It's very much, people have tried to forget that this occurred in this area. It's a nice path to walk through when you don't think about what happened. But there's no marker to denote that this was a place that a body was found. And so she takes a bit of time lingering here amongst this plant life. It is nice for a moment, and then remembering what she needs to do, she begins to search a bit. And you said we get to define a clue?
Yes, you get to define the clue as well.
I think as she begins to look around, she recognizes there is, in fact, a bit of a place marker, but it's not something that anyone would have left to denote that this occurred. It's something that someone left to note that they were there and that this is theirs. And so she finds a little bit of script that is left carved into one of the roots of the tree, almost able to be missed if you weren't looking for what she was. And it is not Roger's name, but a pair of initials, almost like you would do for a lover. He left his initials carved right there.
Fantastic, thank you. You can add that clue to the sheet. I'll come back to you in a minute, Miss Quinn. Let's check in with Dr. Mortimer. Dr. Mortimer, you head back to the mortuary. It has been a week So anything could have happened.
Anything indeed.
And you find the mortuary door locked, but you can hear very, very a sad aria coming from the inside. What do you do?
I raise a hand to the door and hold it and consider everything I'm about to do. And then rapidly knock 3 times.
You hear, "Go away. Go away. I'm not receiving any visitors at the mortuary today."
Dr. Gastrell, it is Dr. Mortimer.
Oh, of course it is. You've come to rub it in, haven't you?
I assure you I have absolutely no idea what you are talking about. Maybe
She's gone. She's gone.
Who, Dr. Gastrell? Who
The
is
love
gone?
of my life, woman. The love of my life. She's gone. She has abandoned me. She insisted. I could not stop her.
Dr. Gastrell, would you consider ration and reason for one moment? One moment and open the door.
The door flies open. He says,
Oh.
He's red-faced, shirt undone. He's a mess. Also, let's paint the scene, everyone. How do we know, perhaps olfactorily or otherwise, that Dr. Gastrell has not been properly doing his job at the mortuary the last few days?
Oh, God. Oh. Oh. The smell is overwhelming, and not in the way that I usually enjoy. There is no hint of embalming fluid in the air. There is no smell of the furnaces going for those bodies that would be cremated. Everything that I would expect in this mortuary, the smells in particular, are overcome by rot. Horrendous, blood-curdling rot. It is the smell and stench not just of death, but of decay and of disappointment.
Would anyone else like to contribute?
I think within one of the side rooms that you can see Dr. Mortimer, as you glance around looking for the source of this rot, you can see what looks like several pairs of feet sticking out just around the corner, and it looks as if the bodies have not been placed on slabs, but just stacked on the floor and have been left there.
There's a single kidney on the floor.
Cecelie! Oh!
She insisted on leaving and I couldn't. How could I say no? She's a free person. She can come and go as she pleases.
Please, Dr. Gastrell. The love of your life, what was her name? Again?
That's the funny thing. Our love was so immediate and profound, we never even bothered to learn each other's names.
I see. Am I to understand?
Our love transcended common notions, like nomenclature.
But of course. Am I to understand it was the same woman you were courting?
She returned to that blastable, damnable abbey. You really do need to figure out what's going on there.
At the minute that
we must be reunited.
The minute that he says, like, confirms that it's the woman from the abbey and confirms that she's gone, Dr. Mortimer takes on an altogether more composed and serious physique. And she stands a little taller and arches a little more crow-like and looks Gastrel straight in the eyes. What do you mean, man? You are to tell me that a body got up and left of its own accord, or somebody took it?
I hired a carriage. That was the gentlemanly thing to do.
But of course. And no doubt she requested you to do such a thing. It is not to say I am entertaining your notions that I believe a dead woman is talking to you and is the love of your life. I am saying, is that or is that not what she asked you to do?
She has a scintillating, vivacious personality, but she is not exactly ambulatory, if that's what you mean. And so a carriage was necessary, yes.
And where, pray tell, has she ended up?
The Abbey, I presume.
Back
Although
to the
I can't
Abbey.
imagine why she'd want to go back there.
Well, and Dr. Mortimer pointedly looks around the mortuary. Maybe
You
she
could do the
was...
information move.
Ooh.
With reason. Or composure.
Okay. I will... Yes, let's try it. Let's run the information move with... Reason, please.
I'm sorry. I'm saying composure. I think it's more of a composure.
Oh, you're saying composure.
Yeah. you seem particularly frustrated with him.
Oh, I don't think a 3 is going to do it.
3 is not going to do it. I'll come back to this in a moment. You can decide if you want to bump the roll up in some way after I come back. Ms. Quinn, if you're ready, give us your scene.
Cecelie strolls as though just taking an ordinary morning walk till she finds herself in a park in a fairly well-to-do part of town, rolling lawns and pathways and nice little benches to sit upon. And she strolls, sort of meandering through the pathways until she's roughly in the very center of this park, where the laid out paths are interspersed with the dirt tracks of desire paths from those who use this park as a cut through to get from one place to another in the city. And there she stops at an iron lamppost, and she looks up at it, and she sees that there's not really anyone around. She pulls one of those carnations from the brim of her hat, and she winds it around the lamppost. And she murmurs, "Good morning, Edward." No one knew his name was Edward. No one who found the body, because nobody knew who he was. But after Roger the Reaver was carried away from Hargrave House, Cecelie took a little snoop at what he'd left behind and kept for herself one piece of paper from his mad scrawlings. She feels a chill in the breeze, in fact, and she reaches into the coat she's wearing, which looks oddly like clerical robes with gold stitching on, and pulls out this piece of paper and looks over it again. These notes that Roger the Reaver had made when stalking young Edward Smith, a man from Newcastle who'd arrived to start an apprenticeship at the bank next week and had been walking the same route every day to make sure he wasn't a moment late on his first day. But nobody knew who he was, apart from Cecelie, and Roger didn't bother her, so she didn't bother with him. And she looks up at the lamppost again, and she notices the glass is smashed, the light is broken, just like it was on the night that Edward was practicing his route. and she sees some youths playing cricket nearby, and she strolls over, and she says to them, "You ought to be more careful with your game if you're going to damage public property." And one of the youths, who of course turns bright red upon the attentions of this woman, sort of manages to stammer back, "It weren't us, miss. It's always broken, that one. Even when sometimes we come and it's fixed again, it's not long before it's broken." Cecelie carries on with her morning walk.
Fantastic. Thank you. Go ahead and note that as a clue. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, is there anything you'd like to do for the last part of your day phase? Anything?
Yes.
What would you like
If
to
I
do?
can. I would like to, if I can, use one of my moves.
Which one?
And oh, the brand new one that I have, which is the Thinning of the Veil.
Fantastic. I'll read it. When you take this move, choose your divination tools and add them to your PQs, and you've chosen runestones. Anything special about the runestones you want to tell us?
The runestones, when she acquired them, she found them initially, and they're not exactly stones, they're closer to bones, but old, ossified, completely calcified, rather, bones. And she acquired them on a very nice day and a very sandy beach, and they just looked like stones. But there was some power to them, and when she grabbed them from this little tide pool, she knew that they were hers.
Fantastic. Let me continue reading the move here. When you consult the tools to glimpse the future, you are going to roll with sensitivity. You can go ahead and do that now. And if you mark the runestones, you can also take it at advantage.
Okay. I shall do that. I could do math. Wait. 13.
13. Fantastic. On a hit, you can ask me what is about to happen, and you can sort of ask in relation to a particular thing. I will answer truthfully, but not necessarily completely. You can also ask, why is this about to happen? And on a 12 plus, you also find a clue, which I will describe. Be thinking of the setup of the scene now that we got dice on the table and your questions, and we'll kind of work through it. I'm going to check in with Dr. Mortimer. Dr. Mortimer, you've been kind of like walking around the mortuary as you're having this conversation with Dr. Gastrell, and he says, "You know, it's a funny thing, Dr. Mortimer. She actually told me there was something I could do to earn back her love."
Oh, pray tell, what was it?
A simple thing, really. And at this point, you can see the glint of a scalpel in his hand. A very simple thing that I simply had to murder each member of Hargrave House. Can you imagine? I was not going to take her up on it. Murder is ghastly, after all. But, well, you've presented yourself as an opportunity, and I feel like this is perhaps the gods of love, Aphrodite and Eros, presenting it to me as an opportunity to well, I don't have to go into all the details, do I?
No.
And he's lunging forward with the scalpel. What do you do?
I'm going think I'm going to resist. I wonder if I can take it, but then use a mask. Do I have to use a mask to...
You can use a mask, which will bump up the roll to give you a clue, and none of this happens. Or you can just do a day move to try to get past this.
I'm going to try and bump up the roll. So
Fantastic.
I'll allow it to happen. What part of me does he go for?
Oh, it wasn't going to reach the point of death.
Okay.
Yeah, on an information move, it's too hard.
Okay.
But you can certainly put on the Janus mask to just get your clue.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put on my mask of the past.
You can go ahead and be thinking of what your scene looks like, and in the meantime, I'm going to give you a clue. I think I'm actually going to roll the clue up into this. He gives the whole speech about, she said if I murdered everyone in Hargrave House that would earn back her love. But he says, putting the scalpel down, I can never do such a thing. Not even love, as pure and intense and passionate as ours was, is worth someone being harmed over it.
Gestrel. Humanity is a mask that Mortimer doesn't often wear. But as her eyes soften and they focus on the shabby, ill-bathed, and clearly distraught figure before her, she appears more human than she has in... God, she can't even remember. And she looks him up and down, fixes his gaze. I understand the loss of love, Gestrel, better than you would maybe know. But I tell you this, taking life in order to preserve or bring back what was lost, it is an ill-gotten adventure. Trust me, for I have peeked behind the curtain of heaven and looked upon God's throne. Believe me when I say, Gestrel, that it is empty. There is no bringing back through murder. There is only picking up the pieces that God himself would say he has discarded. So, pick yourself up, man. You are a doctor.
He steels himself up, squares his shoulders, straightens his back, and he says, Yes, you're right, Dr. Mortimer. You're absolutely right. I hope you won't think less of me, or think I'm not a professional when I ask you, can I have a hug?
She puts a hand on his shoulder. That would be too far. Instead, do you by chance have any use for that kidney?
Fantastic. You bumped your roll up to a 7 and 9, which means I still do owe you a complication. The clue is just this idea that the body, which we can assume is the demon trying to communicate through it, wanted Gestrel to kill, to murder Hargrave House people. The complication, I like what you said in your narration, which is an ill-gotten adventure. I'm going to give you that as a condition. Ms. Quinn, what do you get up to after you're done walking through your park?
What a good question. I think that she's a little at a loose end because she herself just got back from Newcastle on the train last night. So she finds herself on her little walk, sauntering past the mortuary where Dr. Mortimer often seems to find herself. And I think, with Dr. Mortimer's permission, might arrive just as she's exiting.
I love it. If Dr. Mortimer's okay with that, let's have the scene.
Absolutely. I'd like to think that Dr. Mortimer's just sort of popping a kidney into the side of the coat and then pulling up the collar. Oh. Miss Quinn. Good to see you. Pray tell, what brings you here, of all places?
I was up all last night, altering a garment. She sort of adjusts her coat. Needed a little fresh air and a walk to clear my mind.
Jason, would now be a time to pull the vulnerable move?
So long as one of you is engaged in your vice, you may.
That's very okay.
You can certainly frame up a scene or a near future scene to do that.
Yeah. Mortimer regards you head to toe. Her eyes particularly linger on the robes. Miss Quinn, forgive me for saying, but you have always struck me as a woman of taste. I was wondering if you might by chance, and she reaches into another pocket and pulls out 2 tickets. Accompany me to the Royal Central. I have a box there, you see. One of my favorite dancers is coming up, and one of Europe's most promising ballerinas promises to make her debut. So I wondered if you might join me.
Oh, Dr. Mortimer, your love for the ballet is one of the things I like about you, second only to your utter distaste for opera. By all means, I'd be happy to.
Fantastic.
I think
It's
the
a
offer is
matinee.
enough. The offer is enough to trigger, I think.
I will. Fantastic. Clear the mark of the prankster. I will take from myself.
How is that? How is the work out in the scene? How you're clearing the condition?
Mortimer does something that is not inherent to them, and they pull a little joke, briefly, knowing it would be so incredibly distasteful to Miss Quinn. The tickets are in her hand, and as she offers them out, she goes, oh! Was that a compliment I heard from you, Miss Quinn? How divine.
For only the slightest moment, as you pull those tickets away, you see a flash of something behind Cecilie's eyes that's a little different from the usual impassive stare that she lays upon you. For a moment, the eyebrows just ever so slightly knot, and her hand snaps towards you, but only for a moment.
The tickets drop.
Clumsy.
You must forgive me. It was unlike me. She bends and picks them up.
A surgeon of your caliber without a steady hand.
2 compliments in the same day. One might even consider us friends. Although I don't think either of us go that far.
Well, let's see how this ballet you've chosen turns out to be, shall we?
Oh, phenomenal. I cannot wait for you to see it. Maria Tagliona, Oh, I shall say no more. I shall say no more. The name enough is enough to give me excitement. Now. My gosh, I've quite forgotten where I was going to go next. Might I stand? Oh, of course, Kilburn Abbey. Kilburn Abbey calls. If you wouldn't mind, I will be on my way.
Yes, no, I haven't the time to be going anywhere near the Abbey, no. I shall see you at the ballet later on.
I cannot wait.
You do get to define a clue for an active threat as well for the vulnerable move. So be thinking of what the clue is. You can define it together as you wish. I'm going to check in with Ms. Jean-Baptiste. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, where are you casting the runes?
I think Phoebe has, after her walk, retired back to Hargrave House just for a moment. She doesn't take the runes out much. And so when she gets home, she, in her room, gathers a basin of water, which she places them into gently, salts it, because that is what they prefer. As she sets the basin down on the table in front of her and lays her hands at either side, she closes her eyes for a moment, sticks her hands into the cold water, and she can feel the very edges of pain between her fingers. She ignores it as she grabs hold of the runes. Speak to me true, and speak to me now. What is going to happen tonight? And she is asking about the demon and the ritual that she's likely going to have to do as she casts the runes forward.
You think you're luring the demon into a trap, but in fact, it's luring you into a trap. How do the runes convey that to you?
She, over time, has carved simple little directional markings on the sides of these bones, these stones. And as she casts them out, they point left and down, indicating a wrong turn, a wrong idea that she might have.
You can keep on with your questions.
She picks them up from the table, places them back in the water, and again, there's that edge of pain as it spreads up her wrist. Why is this about to happen?
It was Hargrave House, or at least what constituted Hargrave House back then, that hundreds of years ago prepared the space that trapped the demon inside the walls, and it wants revenge. And that is your clue as well.
Oh, wonderful.
This is a session about Hargrave House's past, catching up to the present.
Great. I think Phoebe's going to see the directional runes. They point towards, there's a little portrait that she has in her rooms. It's just of the left side of Hargrave House. There's a series of vines that creep up the side, and occasionally, once every few years, they blossom into these light lilac flowers. And so it's just a painting of those flowers, and all of the runes begin to point towards the house itself. And it takes her a moment, and then she realizes it's their fault, not hers specifically, but this place's fault. She just sighs, almost carelessly places the runes back into the water, starts to wring her hands together, trying to get rid of the pain and failing.
We're going to wrap up our day phase, but I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping before we go. First things first, what is the clue from the vulnerable move?
I think it is a ticket, perhaps to another very exclusive event or exhibition like the gold embossed one we've already received, except this ticket has been torn up into 8-9 different pieces, as if in a fit of rage.
Interesting.
As if entry was maybe denied.
Oh, interesting indeed. Which thread is this for?
This would be for Sally No Face.
Ah, very good. Interesting. I like it. Second bit of housekeeping. I think the apathy and the lack of action back when Roger the Reaver was active is catching up to your soul, Ms. Quinn, and I'd like for you to scar your reflection. Be thinking of how the masterwork changes in this day and age. And the last little bit of housekeeping is not so much housekeeping, but we're going to go into the dusk phase, and it sounds like maybe you're going to want to try to answer the question about the Demon of Kilburn Abbey. If so, while we're on break, be thinking of your solution. Also, one more bit of housekeeping. Dr. Mortimer, you are going to have to narrate your Mask of the Past as well. So, with all that said, yes. I think we're going to take a 15-minute break so you all can think about your various many things, and we'll come back and continue. So we have a lot to do this dusk phase. Let's go through our list. First things first. Do we have any playbook moves that are resolved in the dusk phase?
Yes.
Oh, Dr. Mortimer has one now. What is your dusk move?
My dusk move is the Resurrectionists.
The Resurrectionists. You can read it to us. Go ahead.
A gang of grave robbers led by a man called Harley White, gingy workman's clothes, cracked teeth, smells of grave dirt, is loyal to you. Each dusk phase, pick 2. The grave robbers will dig up corpses that night. During the dawn phase, acquire a body part for the child. The grave robbers will search for other valuables that night. During the dawn phase, ask another hunter what they found and add it to your personal quarters. A grave robber, either Harley or another, name them, will accompany you during the upcoming night phase. Take the following condition: ghoulish. Any roles associated with actions the grave robber is helping you with are taken at advantage. You'll face no blowback or complications from any criminal activities the grave robbers get up to that night.
Those are your options. Yes. Which 2 are you going to take?
Obviously, I'm grabbing something for the child. Can't break with tradition now. And I'm going, in the absence of Haskell, I'm going to ask Harley to accompany us during the night phase.
Indeed. That's great. Love that. Let's keep going. At this point, it's if I remember correctly, or if I'm recalling, you all want to try to answer the question for the Demon of Kilburn Abbey, which, if you answer it correctly, is probably going to have a big effect on what you want to do this night phase, I'm guessing. So I'll remind you of the question. It is, how can we lure the demon to us? Complexity 6, resolve the threat by luring it into a trap and then performing a banishing ritual. The clues are, we had these rope burns around the young monk's neck. A girl was bricked into the walls with the demon by nuns. We now know that that was also Hargrave House involved. The symbol of the demon carved into a monk's chest by his own hand. The demon is targeting older people because they know sin, or it was specifically they hate children because they don't understand sin. And the body wants to kill people in Hargrave House. There's actually the demon. You should read that as the demon. Hargrave House prepared the room that the demon was bricked into. And so, I mean, I don't know. This feels like there's some pretty straightforward explanations here, but what do we think?
So we know that it's sort of like some of the clues tie into each other.
They
in
can
a
all
way.
kind of be together.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So the demon wants vengeance against Hargrave House because I guess at that time Hargrave House didn't have the ability to banish it, and so they did the next best thing, which was to seal it down there completely. The symbol of the demon, I think it might be, in a way, it trying to reclaim some kind of territory. It might be not a name, but maybe like a version of a name, like a stamp, an imprint that it was trying to see how far it could reach. I don't think that monk left the abbey, though.
I feel like maybe it was almost the demon like calling out, making itself known, because it wants its vengeance on Hargrave House, and it knows that Hargrave House
Would come.
wouldn't be able to resist these mysterious monks harming themselves in strange ways.
Yeah, I think it's really straightforward. I mean, like, a lot of this stuff just seems like an attempt to get your attention, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, even this is not a clue, but I think it's interesting that it was Dr. Gastrell who brought the case to you originally. And it's Dr. Gastrell who has this connection to the body, and it's Dr. Gastrell who was tasked with killing you also. Like, this is clearly the demon trying to get your attention. I think that accounts for basically all of it, 5 or 6 clues. The only one that I don't understand how it works, and maybe this is the linchpin for luring it, is the old people versus young people.
I think. Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Hargrave House has never, in its history, employed children, unless I am incorrect. Everyone has been of age, and everybody has been aware of the sins they are committing in the attempt to prevent even greater sin. Therefore, it would make sense that it only targets people that would know the deeper, darker, nastier side of sin.
I mean, is the idea that somebody from Hargrave House has to go into the Abbey and just start committing blasphemies in order to draw this thing to you? Is that what we're doing here?
Wouldn't be the first time.
I think it's pretty clear that the best way to lure this demon is for us to go there.
I think you
commit
are
blasphemies.
completely right, Ms. Quinn. Oh, I've got
More blasphemies.
I like it. Dr. Mortimer has a hand on the flesh terrarium as we speak.
I mean, I think it's a straightforward answer, but I think it fits really well. It is just a flat roll, though. So who wants to roll it if everyone agrees to this?
May I use one of my objects to improve the roll?
Nothing can be added to the answer a question roll, sadly.
Oh,
okay. Except in the case of the map room. There's a map room way of adding to the answer a question roll, but that's the only way. You could go do that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's not desperate.
I would say somewhere between Ms. Quinn and Ms. Jean-Baptiste, as you guys have spent the most time in the Abbey and I think figured out more than myself or Haskell. So please, if one of you would decide.
I will
would
note
roll?
that you do still have available the Mask of Sacrilege, and so if you need to bump up the roll, you'll be able to. So,
Do you want to roll, Cecelie?
All right, I'll do it. Can I mark that mask?
you don't have to mark it until afterwards. So
Okay.
If you,
So I'm literally just rolling 2d6.
36.
8.
Marking the mask will bump it up to a 10 plus, and it's still going to be a fight because this demon's got it out for you, but it won't be as hard a fight if you bump it up to a 10.
I'll do the mask.
Each hunter will narrate a possible future in which you succumb to a sinful act, thereby endangering the health and or safety of the others, aka you give the keeper lots of ideas for the future. You'll be doing that at the top of the night phase, so be thinking of that. We can save it for the night phase, or we can do it right now, but I need to know how the reflection is scarred. I need to know the Mask of the Past for Dr. Mortimer. Who wants to, if you wish to go now, please do, or we can save it.
I can do the reflection.
Please do.
So it's about the apathy that Cecelie has. And it's about the apathy in general, I think, of the people in the world in which her masterpiece resides. The masterwork cannot continue to exist without the artists who bring it to life night after night. And the time was when a performance would end that the gentlemen who owned the theatre, the conductors and the directors, and all of these high-ranking men would ensure that the artists, especially the young ones, especially the young women, were safely escorted into a carriage, safely allowed to get home. But things change, people change, and apathy creeps in. And so it is that the young women who perform these leading starring roles of Cecelie in the different ages of her life in this opera are left to fend for themselves on the streets outside the stage doors night after night, and this apathy drives artists away. Why would you want to put yourself at such risk just to sing? Surely you've had your moment in the sun. And that apathy means that the greatest artists, the greatest talents find somewhere else to go, and those who come in are less committed, they're less excited to sing the role. Maybe they can't quite hit the notes, maybe they can't quite carve their voices around the delicate runs that the composer had created, and so the work is simplified. The decorations are sanded off the edges over time as the apathy starts to seep in. And so the work is scarred by the apathy of those performing it and those who should have kept them safe so that they would keep performing it well.
Fantastic. Dr. Mortimer, do you want to wait or go now?
Oh no, I'm a tough act to follow, but I feel like I'm up for the task.
Narrate a flashback to the first time you experienced love for the person you lost.
Cora was a dancer. Ballet. And she lit up on the stage. Never so more than on the opening night of Giselle. She was the starring role, the prima. And Giselle is a story of ghost-ridden tragedy. Young women falling in love with young men and revealing hidden identities and dying and resurrecting and it's such a beautiful story. But the way that she told it with her body, on that stage. Her sinews flaring, her muscles tensing. She stood on point for a whole minute, while the gorilla that played Albert just, but she was the most graceful thing. And she'd gotten me box seats. And I watched. And even with a full house, she was only dancing for me. It was like a love letter to me. It was her stood in front of the whole world and proudly declaring, I am yours. Look at me. I have never felt more loved than when I watched her dance.
Thank you. Let's go around the table, find out what everyone's interested in doing tonight. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, are you going to go commit blasphemies at the Abbey?
Always. That was always
Indeed.
the plan. Never a
Indeed.
deviation.
Dr. Mortimer, what's your plan for the evening?
Oh, let me check the schedule. I believe it's blasphemies at the Abbey tonight. Yes?
Indeed it
Phenomenal,
is.
phenomenal.
Ms. Quinn, same thing?
I'm dreadfully busy. I believe I have a few things to do. Of course, I can find the time. Yes.
Fantastic. Very good. Confrontation with the Demon of Kilburn Abbey for the night phase sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and get our unseen on the table. Let's do the Belfort murder. This is on line 31, all the way at the end. I will read the text of the Belfort murder when we actually start the night phase, but for now I'll assign the prompts. Everyone does prompt 1. Wren, you can have prompt 2. And Jess, you can have prompt 3. And prompt 4 is for you, Michelle. Oops, here we go. Fantastic. All right, then. If there are no other questions, we will take a 10-minute break so you can think about the unseen and maybe how you want to tackle this problem with the demon and draw it to you and banish it. So we'll see you in 10. We're going to spend a little more time with the hunters this night phase than we normally do. But before we do, let's go take a glimpse at another part of London on the same night. The home of Charles and Nancy Belfort. Charles and Nancy have been married for 10 years, and they absolutely despise each other. Tonight is the night when one of them will finally snap. As we look around the Belfort's home, how do we know their love for one another died long ago?
I'd like to think that their bedroom, a place that should be happy and warm and cozy, inviting, is dingy and dark. And at the far end of it, surrounded by drapes, are 2 separate beds. The mattresses on them haven't been changed in the entire time they've been married, in the entire time they got them. 2 very distinct body outlines in both beds, one a little longer and a little wider than the other. It's very clear. No bed swapping or pushing together happens. This is where they lie at night and contemplate what has happened in the day and what they have done and who they are with.
There is, in their living room, it once held a place of pride, a portrait of the two of them, a gift that was for their wedding. But the space that the portrait occupied, once you can see where the light hasn't been the space that it occupied, it sits on the floor, turned away in a corner.
There are 2 armchairs in that living room, and they are not next to each other, nor are they facing each other. In fact, one is at one end of the room with a little table with sewing accoutrements and an embroidery basket, and a pile of men's clothes which seem to be entirely neglected, while the embroidery sits very carefully attended to. And at the other end of the room, there is another armchair facing another way towards a window, with the frame of which was once painted white, but is now stained by tobacco smoke from a pipe.
We're going to put on the mask of sacrilege in a moment, but first, Dr. Mortimer, I'm going to give you an opportunity to earn your new ghoulish condition. Indeed, we see the 3 of you, or the 4 of you, including Harley Stroh, making your way to Kilburn Abbey, walking down the street. I will let you know that even though Dr. Mortimer has gone nose-blind to Harley Stroh, Ms. Jean-Baptiste and Ms. Quinn, you have not. And he reeks of the grave and other unsavory things. And he's anything but inconspicuous. As you're walking down the street, he says, "Oh, Dr. Mortimer, I'm so happy you've employed me and my boys this night. I hope they bring you back something good, something particularly ripe and wet and juicy."
Yes, and ideally something a whole lot more subtle as well.
A pair of lungs, perhaps? A heart?
Not the heart. Not the heart. Lungs for my
several years ago when we brought you that, what'd you call it? The pancreas. What is it the pancreas does again, Dr. Mortimer?
The pancreas is responsible for producing insulin, my dear comrade. And insulin is something that we humans need to survive. Do you know what we don't need to survive, Mr. Harley? Our tongues. I suggest you keep yours firmly between your teeth when we are in... And she throws a look to Cecelie and Phoebe. Is polite company.
Insulin, is that like insulation? Like something in the body that keeps you warm?
Not in the bodies that I deal with. No. It helps...
I'm curious. Ms. Quinn and Ms. Jean-Baptiste, what do you think about Mr. Stroh and him talking loudly about body parts?
Cecelie was deeply distressed by the presence of this gentleman until he started talking about what kinds of things Dr. Mortimer has him collect, and now she is quietly making mental notes.
Indeed.
I think Dr. Mortimer has her proclivities, and that's fine, as long as they don't have to come with us.
Proclivities, that's a good way of putting it. He says, "Dr. Mortimer, we don't see you down with Scotland Yard much these days. I've had to deal with Dr. Gastrell mostly. He's an interesting fella, huh?"
Interesting is one word for it, Harley.
I tell you what, though, much easier doing work for him. He doesn't like them in parts, he likes them whole.
I'm sure he does. That way he can sit them up and have tea with them, don't you know?
Indeed. You have the ghoulish condition, Dr. Mortimer.
Oh, don't I fucking just.
You arrive at the Abbey, and I will tell you that, well, let's paint the scene. It's nighttime, it's dark, there's the front garden and the gate and all that business. What do we see that makes it look like, and maybe this is only something you know, Ms. Jean-Baptiste, but what do we see that makes it look like the Abbey is waiting on you, holding its breath, inviting you in?
In the windows of the Abbey, this tall, yawning building, it almost looks like the lights flickering in an animal's eyes just before it's ready to pounce as you see it from a distance.
The shadows of the plants in the garden are like fingers creeping across the ground, except the thing that makes them deeply unsettling, the fact that they are not moving at all with the breeze.
The door to the Abbey is ajar, and a warm glow flickers from within, potentially from candles yet to be extinguished, but it beckons, like an empty chair wishing for you to sit, like the lid of a jar just askew. There's something about it that is irresistible.
The Mask of Sacrilege. Each of you please narrate a possible future in which you succumb to a sinful act, thereby endangering your health and or the safety of others.
The child is incomplete. She needs hands. My work is almost done. I'm so very nearly finished, and all she needs is just one, 2 hands. I could self-mutilate. Give her my own. I know exactly where to cut, and I could, truth be need be, do it with a saw. I would do that for her. I would give up my profession. I would give up everything that made me human up until this point to bring her to life. She just needs a pair of hands.
Something dark and sinister and dangerous has reared its head for the 100th time in this blasted city. And here I am once again, for lack of anything better to do, trying to do something about it. And it is not harming itself this time. It is not cutting out its own tongue. It is not going after Haskell. It is coming straight for me. And my hand twitches. And that gloved hand reaches out and it grabs one of my compatriots and it pulls them in front as I flee.
There is a man beneath her. He's awake. And as Phoebe caresses a hand down his bare chest, moving with the rise and fall of him, a hand reaches down to her side. And as she takes the blade in her hand, he is not afraid, he is expecting. And she is expecting. and she lifts it and plunges it directly into his heart, and his blood is so warm and the pain eases from her fingers finally, and she digs her hands deeper, trying to draw more of that warmth in her to make it ease.
Let's go back to the Belforts. Wren, please narrate a scene in which Charles does something to get under Nancy's skin.
After all of these years, it's so easy. He knows the little crevices and areas to pick at. The easiest one, the one that always makes her face scrunch and the heat rise, her hair. He makes a little comment about her doing her hair. And it's always, aren't you going to do something about that? And he knows that she spends so much time fixing it, making the curls land just right on top of her head. It is her pride and joy, and as she has gotten older and it's gotten gray, she's done the most that she can, and it always irks. She spends so much time, and he always just picks on her hair.
You are all in the Abbey. I feel like desecrating holy places is Hargrave House's go-to move right now. It seems to be. What is the plan this time? Ms. Jean-Baptiste, this feels like your operation principally. What is the plan?
We have divided the workload, as any united front should do.
Good.
Phoebe's focus as she navigates into the back just behind the altar where they conduct sermons, and begins to rummage through and gather the incense, censer, anything that she found too cumbersome to bring with her. She'll just source it from here. She is going to work on the door that is going to be the exit for this creature. Getting it to the door is the responsibility of the other two. She's just going to make sure that it is there.
Do tell, Dr. Mortimer and Miss Quinn.
Oh, absolutely. It would seem that the oldest resident of Hargrave House would most naturally have an affinity towards this thing. It may even recognize her, know her. So, Miss Quinn, what is it we decided you would be best at doing?
I believe the term you used, Doctor, was bait.
Very much so. In the classiest sense of the word. It will be drawn here by Ms. Quinn. I will, based upon scientific deduction of what it considers sin and what it considers attractive, will trap it with several of the elements at my disposal, and I will unmask it. Demon, please. There's no such thing as demons, only thing masquerading. Something that would have a score to settle. No. Ms. Jean-Baptiste definitely will be able to perform the most excellent banishing ritual, be it with her wiles, with her skills, with her opium, whatever it is necessary. But we have a plan, and together we will execute it flawlessly, I am sure. Hardy is here to brick
What's
it
he
up.
doing?
Oh, he's got some bricks and mortar ready. He's ready to put it back where it belongs should it fail to comply.
Very good. So it sounds then, I mean, if you bait in a fishing context means you have to cast your line, and so I'd like to suggest that the three of you, meaning everyone who's not Ms. Jean-Baptiste, are essentially walking the corridors of the Abbey, trying to draw out the demon, get its attention. I'll note that you haven't seen any of the brothers yet, except right now. Emerging from the darkness is poor brother Elijah and several other young monks. And they fall upon their knees in front of you, Miss Quinn. Perhaps nothing completely unusual to you. And brother Elijah says, "There you are. An answer to my prayers, all of our prayers. We realize now that there is no God." No, that's not quite right. We realize now that you are God, and we have come to worship you. And they begin to violently salaam on the stones, slapping their hands and faces to the stone, except every time they go down, their face hits the stone very hard, and every time they raise up, you see more damage on their face. Nose, teeth cracked, jaw unhinged, eyes pulped. They're going on and on. I need the two of you, Dr. Mortimer and Miss Quinn, to make night moves here. I need to know from each of you what you're scared is going to happen if you lose your nerve.
I am afraid that they will try to touch me.
Indeed. It is worse than that. You will have the bloody consequence of their worship all over you. Dr. Mortimer?
I'm terrified that they're putting perfectly good body parts to waste.
Indeed.
If they keep going, I'll not be able to use anything that they're prostrating before sweet Cecelie.
It is worse than that.
Oh.
It is worse than that. I think the demon will possess Harley Stroh, a simple man, and he'll help out with the collection of body parts.
Oh no.
In any case, you both can avoid all of this by just turning away and going back to the central sept where Ms. Jean-Baptiste is, or you can continue on to try to lure the demon.
Cecelie is holding a flower in her hand. And she says, "Dear brother Elijah, I brought it back for you."
Indeed.
And she plucks a petal and lets it drift onto his lip as he lifts up, and then she begins to do the same for each of them.
I love it. You can mark that to get advantage on your roll, and I think this is going to be for you probably a composure roll. Actually, no, it's a presence roll for you.
Presence roll.
Dr. Mortimer, it's composure roll for you.
Am I able... I'm assuming with the monks slamming themselves down, we hear bones breaking as
Oh, sure.
a hand is just crushed.
Mm-hmm.
She'll run forward and from the depths of that coat pull out one prosthetic hand and just, "Oh, brother," and fit it gently, almost around, and just sort of move it slightly, like, "There is weakness in flesh, but science holds the answers."
I love it. You can mark that, and it's going to balance out the disadvantage I was going to put you at because of ghoulish, because you were failing to notice the changes coming over Harley Stroh. 2d6 plus composure, please. You can both go ahead and roll.
Okay.
I rolled an 8 plus 2, 10.
Fantastic.
A 9 for the doctor.
Very good indeed. We'll come back to this. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, things are not completely easy for you either. The demon is exercising some of its power in the main sept. It starts small enough, a chalice or a wafer flying, banging against a wall, maybe a bit of the body of Christ pelting you on the shoulder. But then it moves up to bigger things. Candelabra, clang, clang, clang. You hear the shuffling of wooden pews shuffling and moving around. And you can see right now that the demon is certainly not cowed. It's certainly not here to be trapped. Indeed, it's gotten something of what it wants. It's gotten you alone, and it's going to take care of the problem. And wooden pews, tapestries, various objects begin flying all over the room. You are going to have to come up with a way of stopping this or hiding until the others get there. What do you do?
So, Phoebe brought the ley line map in order to try and find what would be the best position in the abbey to conduct this banishing ritual. It just so happened to be the main sept. It seems like they had some kind of planning in place when they built it. And I think she is going to try and harness some of that natural energy. And I'm not sure if she can, but just try to push the pews away.
Having a magic on magic duel essentially here.
Essentially, she's gonna essentially try and claim dominion of this space.
I like it very much. This is going to be, it could be rites of salt and smoke to like put a barrier up between you and it, or it could just be a night move. What do you think?
I don't want to put a barrier to it simply because I need it to possibly be close to me when I do the banishing. I just want it to know you're not cowed by me, I'm not cowed by you.
It's going to be the night move. It's going to be with vitality, and I want to know what you're scared is going to happen if you get if it gets the upper hand.
If it gets the upper hand, I might end up seriously injured.
Worse than that, you'll be crushed by a pew. Let's have the roll with vitality. Let's see how you do.
All right.
Are you marking that map?
Oh, yes, the map. I forgot. Thank you. That's important.
You can roll a third die and do it.
That's really important right now. It doesn't help that much. Because vitality is -1, so that's 6.
6. We will come back to all of these scenes after we check in with our Charles and Nancy. Jess, please narrate a scene in which Nancy humiliates Charles.
Nancy may be older now, but she's still beautiful. Still something lovely about her. And it's that loveliness that she wields at the superintendent of the building, in the flat that they own. It's the way she smiles at him and laughs at his jokes, even though they are terrible, always a little too loud so that Charles hears. It's the way she moans when she fucks him in the broom closet next to their bedroom, knowing that Charles can hear. It's the way she tells her friends. It's the way those friends tell their husbands, and it's the way those husbands look at Charles. And that is how she has cut those words out of his mouth every time he has niggled about the curls in her hair. She does them just extra pretty for a man that is not him.
Well, Miss Quinn, your general callousness and disregard for the bodily sanctity of others is serving you well here, because I think the demon is intrigued by you, intrigued by how you are not reacting to this display. Tell me how you know you have the demon well in hand.
I slowly pull the lace glove off of one hand, and I reach out and place my hand just ever so slightly above the head of Brother Elijah. And I keep it there. And I sense that he will not try to touch me, and he does not. And I drop that last petal of the flower I destroyed onto him.
The luring the part of the demon is done, essentially. We will have the banishing part still to deal with, but before we do that, Dr. Mortimer, you succeeded, but with a complication. I would like to suggest the following, which is Harley Stroh is hanging out kind of off to the side while this is all taking place. And he lets slip that he's like, oh, that detective inspector that's been asking about you. Oh, I hope he doesn't hear about this. And that is what you learn in the middle of this display. But we are good to go with that scene. Poor Ms. Jean-Baptiste. The fight is one of equals for a time. The dark entities, which are always very interested in preserving you because you are one of the few people who is able to communicate with them and give them the things they want, the sacrifices they frequently desire. And while this is going on, while you're using your own power to repel the power of this demon, and there's things flying and smashing everywhere, right? But never quite reaching you, what you don't realize is that the demon is communicating with the dark entities underneath all of that and reminding them of ancient pacts, ancient obligations that they have to it. Indeed, there is an interlocutory there, that voice behind your eyes. There's a whole subliminal or subconscious, sub-awareness negotiation, demonic diplomacy happening in the middle of this fight, and they realize that they are got contractually and obligationally speaking, and at the right moment, they drop their guard. They allow a pew to fly directly atop you and crush you, your legs sticking out. Like the Wicked Witch of the East, who hasn't been invented yet. And so, I assume you're going to put on the Janus mask to avoid this fate, or maybe not. I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, I would like to put on the Janus mask. Thank you so much.
Future or past?
Past.
Mark the next box, and then just describe how you are at a standstill with the demon until Dr. Mortimer and Cecelie get there.
I think in their back and forth with the pews, it's become such that they've built somewhat of a makeshift tower in between them of just, it's not stable by any means, but neither can advance to necessarily win over the other, and so they're just holding in this moment. And as Dr. Mortimer approaches the sept, you just see this wavering, leaning tower of smashed bits of wood in the center of the room.
Fantastic.
A bit busy in here. Don't mind.
I'm very sure there's a rational explanation for all of this. Would you like a hand, Miss Jean-Baptiste?
If you have one amongst the ones you collect.
Under my breath, I'm just like, oh, I have several. From the pile of wood gathered, I would like to grab a piece and throw it to Harley. I'm going to coat this piece of wood, sharpened and splintered, with the holy water / vampire blood I was given the last time we defeated some mutation, some terrible form of nature. And I look to Harley, and I look towards the demon. I go, off you go.
Indeed. So just to be clear, what do you want Harley to do?
I would like Harley to stick the demon with the wood and drive it into the door that Miss Baptiste has opened.
Fantastic. You don't even need to mark the holy water because you get the advantage with Harley, right? So,
yes.
That sounds like a good plan. I like that. Ms. Quinn, how, as you enter the sept, how have you changed? Because you essentially have the demon attached to you at this point in a certain sense. And where do you put it so that you don't get stabbed?
The whole time that we have been in this abbey, from the moment it was decided, very much without my explicit agreement, that we would be here tonight, those hands in those lace gloves have been ever so slightly shaking. But since the moment that Cecelie realized this demon does not seem to want to attack her bodily, like the shadows in the garden, they are completely still. And she sees Harley with that sharpened piece of wood, and she raises a single eyebrow. None of these men may touch me.
We are going to have an interesting banishment scene next time, I think. Let's go back to the Belfort murder. Which of the two just can't take it any longer? Please describe them murdering the other one. Are they happy at the end?
Nancy, she sits at the small, humble vanity in that room with the two beds at the end of it. And she adjusts those curls again. She's going to meet with him again tonight, and she wants to make sure she looks ever so lovely. And she hears the door creak open and the familiar heavy gait of her husband, and she does not turn. She hasn't done so in years. And she hears what she expects to hear. Aren't you going to do anything about that hair? But then she hears something she did not expect to hear. A sort of thumping and a rolling. And a head bumping up against her ankle. And she looks down, and there's the superintendent. And she turns. She turns to see her husband coming in and to greet him for the first time in a very long time indeed. And he is holding a bloody knife. And he says, "You made vows to me. We have obligations to each other, you and I, and you have disregarded them, you whore." And he comes towards her with that heavy gait and the knife in hand. And Nancy, in a moment, glances down at the scissors she keeps to trim her hair to the perfect coif. And she grabs them, and in a moment, knife plunges into stomach and scissors plunge into neck. And neither of them are happy as they both meet their end.
This is it, the banishment ritual. That's your job, if I remember correctly, Ms. Jean-Baptiste. You can take the advantage from Harley if Dr. Mortimer's okay with that.
Absolutely.
And I just need to know what the process is here. Like, what does the banishment look like? And how does Harley and his sanctified stake help?
As Harley runs towards Miss Jean-Baptiste to help, Dr. Mortimer just yells, "He's no Haskell," and steps back.
It'll do. And Phoebe takes a moment, just a brief moment, to address her disheveled state and pushes her hair out of her face and away. She looks at the little ring that she has created, natural in its elements. The demon's symbol placed after she's practiced and drawn it over and over in the center. She holds in her hand an old, worn, heavy key that opens a door to no place on this realm. Now, you. And she looks to Harley. What is that? Then looks down at the stake, and she gestures for him to hover the stake directly over the demon's symbol. You're going to hear a sound, and it's going to sound like a door unlocking. And when you hear that, you stick it down. Understand? She's trying to explain it to him like he's 5.
He nods. He nods indeed. He is ready. I think this is Rites of Salt and Smoke. You get advantage with Harley's help. It's going to be with sensitivity. Let's do it.
All right. Sensitivity is +2. Let's move and shake. Okay. 9.
You get your effect, but also a complication. Which complication do you choose? We know the effect is to banish the demon, but...
Yes. You take a condition, the keeper will tell you what.
Very good indeed. I think the condition is connected to Ms. Quinn somehow. The demon, on its way out, having ridden on Ms. Quinn up to this point, the demon whispers something to you about Ms. Quinn that Ms. Quinn may not want you to know, something that is disturbing to you. You will take this as a condition. It's going to be called Ms. Quinn's secret. At any time in the future, you can cross that condition off to declare this action that Ms. Quinn is taking is connected to the secret. You say what the secret was, and if Ms. Quinn continues with the action, you both get to mark XP. However, the miscondition for that roll is that you are both retired from the game.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh!
But until then, please describe the banishment of the demon and the resolution of the threat.
God, give me a moment. Okay. Phoebe brandishes his key as she can see that something has happened with Miss Quinn, something that she cannot allow to distract her any more than it is already. She drives the key forward towards Harley, towards the air, and it seems to hit something invisible, somewhat visible to her, but not completely. Were she to dig deeper within herself and give these things what they want, then she would see it in its completeness, but she doesn't want to. And as she turns, there is the sound of something wooden, ancient, metal, unlocking, and the sound travels no further than the ring that she has created, the ring that she has trapped herself and Harley in. But it is loud, and it echoes into time itself as she turns it and then looks at Mary like, now is the... As he drives it down into the demon's symbol, light travels from the tip of this makeshift sphere along the lines of the symbol, igniting it in flame. The wood itself catches fire. He has to drop it very quickly lest he be burned himself. The key begins to heat in her hands, and there's a sucking sound, vacuum that extends past this ring to latch onto whatever has attached itself to Miss Quinn and draw it from her past Phoebe, past Harley, and down into the depths that it knows that it's from and needs to return to now.
Dr. Mortimer, Ms. Quinn, anything you want to add to the end of the scene?
I think as the portal closes, there is a distinct emptiness in the Abbey. It's as if it's not just sucked the demon in. Any trace of God or belief in this house is suddenly ripped from the very rafters down. And Mortimer will approach Miss Jean-Baptiste and nod at her. You're getting rather good at that. My word.
She shakes the hand. You can see where the key has left a bit of shadow and residue in her palm. Yes, well, it all comes with practice.
Miss Quinn, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm glad that's over with. It was getting ever so tiresome. There's a single tear rolling down one cheek, but she doesn't brush it away for fear of drawing attention to it.
You are looking ever so pale. We should retire to Hargrave House. This is the last time I give Haskell the night off. My God.
As they are making their way out of the Abbey, does she see any of those monks still alive?
Oh, the ones that were worshipping you? Perhaps one barely clinging.
She kind of lingers behind the other two and Harley and leans and very softly she says, "There is a place of song that would mean more to you than the chants of these sad halls." And she whispers the address of where she knows some of her worshippers meet to sing the songs of the opera in her name.
Fantastic. I love it.
Are the bodies of the monks are they just lying there?
they are indeed.
Oh,
Proficient.
we can't just leave it like
I mean,
this.
Harley's
That would
there.
be-
Might as well.
Harley, my man, you know what to do.
I think between that and also what the resurrectionist will bring you from the other's choice, you will get 2 body parts in the dawn phase.
Phenomenal.
Let's go to the dawn phase. Speaking of. Okay, so the resurrectionist, let's deal with that. What are your body parts? You don't have to do the narration yet, but I just want to know what you receive.
I'd like for the grave robbers to get me something cumbersome, so I would like the legs and the torso, please.
Fantastic. And that's 2 different parts, right?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. Let's continue on. At the top of next session, you will narrate the flashbacks for those body parts. Let's go to threat rewards. There is reward here, pretty straightforward rewards. Everybody gets a memento from the investigation. You can ask another player to describe it and then add it to your personal quarters or myself. Ms. Jean-Baptiste, who do you want to give you a memento?
Dr. Mortimer, what would you give me?
I think, considering you've gotten so very good at drawing these ritual circles, as you would call them, having something with a little godly power behind it can't hurt. A bowl of ash, usually used to mark the cross on the foreheads of those devout. But there is something mixed in with this ash that doesn't quite belong. And it feels gritty on the fingertips. And it feels somewhat distinctly, oh yes. If you dive a little bit too far into the bowl, you find a tooth.
Same question, Dr. Mortimer. Who's going to give you something?
Oh, Ms. Quinn, since I gave you those robes, what would you like to give the doctor?
As you were leaving, and you instructed Harley to make use of the freely available parts that you had stumbled across, you were struck watching him once again at how he is no Haskell. A messy worker, hacking and slashing and making all sorts of mess. But he gets you one of your body parts, and later when you're dealing with it in your way, you find a large splinter of that piece of wood that he had been using to hack these bodies apart. When you hold it, you almost feel that you can hear the sounds of those slapping faces and wrists against the ground as those monks prostrated themselves in their last moments. But surely that's just a memory.
And Ms. Quinn, who do you want yours from?
I suppose it's only fair that Ms. Jean-Baptiste gives me something.
You receive an old, rather mundane-looking spinning top that when you hold it, you feel a deep sense of despair.
Fantastic. Let's go to Dawn questions. All right, Dr. Mortimer. Well, everyone is getting the first 2 because you answered a question and you also resolved a threat. Dr. Mortimer, did you get an echo in the night?
I think I did. There was a link between the Abbey beckoning us and the empty chairs of
yes.
the Belmont residents.
I love it. You definitely get your next question, which is the beloved Dana Scully question. What
God's
about
not real, neither are
Yes.
vampires. Fine.
Did you secretly engage in romantic or emotional behavior at odds with your exterior?
I did empathize with Dr. Gastral.
Oh, you
against
did.
my
Yeah, in
better
your way.
judgment.
You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You get 5 marks. Remind you that one of those marks is unmarking all of the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Quinn, you get your first 2 questions, of course. Did you get an echo in the night?
I think I did. The demons whispering about the pacts that they had made to each other and the rules they had to be governed by,
Oh,
and
indeed. Yes.
the Charles reminding Nancy of
The
the pacts
vows,
they had
yeah.
made.
Fantastic. Did we get to see you in avant-garde fashion? I don't.
Only a coat made of clerical robes and a hat full of carnations.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I'll take that. And
yeah.
did you express a clear preference for the beautiful over the mundane?
That's a good question. Did I on this occasion? I suppose I did in the end, because I agreed to go to the ballet with the most annoying woman I know in order to see these beautiful dancers.
Indeed. Fantastic. Go ahead and make your marks. And your 5th mark will be unmarking all of them. So let's go to Ms. Jean-Baptiste. Echo in the night?
I believe so. There was just a brief moment when she fixed her hair after the tussle with the...
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Did you have a face-to-face encounter with the Dark Entity? Yes. Did you perform a ritual? Yes. Did everyone get all 5 XP this session? That's great.
I think so.
Fantastic. So there's almost certainly going to be some advancements taking place.
Yes.
We'll check in with that next time. And if there's any of Janice Mass prompts, we can save those for next time as well. And I think that is everything for this session. And so let's go ahead and go to our stars and wishes. A very eventful session, I would say.
Oh, and how. I can start with stars. My first goes to Michelle for the description that tied the Belmont murder together. That was divine. I loved the fake out. I thought I was like, husband's died of a heart attack. How tragic. Nope, it all comes full circle. Nobody gets the happy ending. Fantastic. Loved that. Loved feeling surprised. Wren, your rituals get, again, even with your character with practice gets better at the rituals, and you just add another level every time. What is it with just terrible things in abbeys? It just seems to be something you're getting way too cool at. The description was fantastic. I was there. I was watching it all light on fire. Oh yeah, feel transported. Jason, the move, The Secret of Miss Quinn, had everyone on screen gasping. That is a fantastic move. I really hope it gets put into play, and I really hope neither of them miss, but who can tell at this point. So big ups on that.
Yeah, stars all around. Great session. I feel like I always I feel like everybody always kind of just gives the between, right? Like whatever the between is, we get it, and so that's great. It was one of the early things, and so maybe easy to forget, but I really loved the Roger the Reaver investigations. I thought those were great. It was just such a great visual and a good change of pace in the story, which I think is really terrific, which is what kind of the intention of that side thread is. It's meant to be kind of a low key, just introspective kind of thing. Really loved it. I thought the Charles and Nancy unseen is one of my favorites, and I thought it was really great. And what I really liked about it in the context of the night phase with the demon, it almost felt like the demon being in the city exercising its power, and maybe even Ms. Jean-Baptiste exercising her power, was causing like evil in the city, right? And so that's what like it's really y'all's fault why Charles and Nancy are dead. Right? like the evil is what made them do it, right? And so I was really, really into that. It just kind of felt great. I love Dr. Gustrell and Dr. Mortimer. I would watch a TV show with the two of them. They're odd couple surgeon show. Really,
it feels
great.
like
Just
vicious, but it feels like
And I love playing Dr. Gustrell. He's just such a fun character to play, and it's really fun to play him opposite of Dr. Mortimer because they are both like fundamentally cracked individuals, right? And they have it's a really fundamental level, but they like are judging each other still. It's great. Really good time. And that little coda to the scene of like finding this like barely clinging to life monk and encouraging him to go find the masterwork was really dark. Really good. It was just super dark. And I really liked it a lot. So stars for that. Yeah, just good time all around. And my only wishes are I'll be excited to have Haskell back. And really anxious to hear Ms. Jean-Baptiste's continuing flashback story as well.
I'm glad to be back from Ms. Quinn's sojourn to Newcastle. I miss these people and their excellent choices they make. I am so on board for Dr. Mortimer deals with men that she does not have any patience for. Like it's torturing her in the most funny way. That's like first Gastrell and now Harley, and everyone's just getting in her way, no matter how harsh she is with them. And the way that you manage to ride that line of like comedic moments without undermining Dr. Mortimer's very threatening nature is really masterful. So I love to see that. It's so good. Wren, I'm obsessed with all of the rituals that you're doing, but actually it was the moment of sin. You said so little and painted such an vividly powerful image with the knife and the what's going on there, nothing good. Like that was so cool. And I just love the way that you like with like carefully chosen words created so much with such a small narration. That was a really powerful moment. So stars for that. Jason, I mean, it's the secret of Miss Quinn. Someone else already said it, but I'm obsessed with that condition, and I'm so scared. I'm so scared of that condition, and I love when a keeper really scares me with her. Here's the thing: you don't have to use it, but you could. Like that's scary stuff. I love it. I'm here for it. My wish. Do I have any wishes? I mean, Miss Quinn is yet to put on a Janus mask at all. Apart from the mask of sacrilege, I guess.
That's my wish as well.
Yeah. So I've got to start rolling worse. I guess I've been very uncharacteristically lucky so far with the rolls, and it can't last forever. So I'm looking forward to when that starts happening. That's my wish.
Jess, I love Dr. Mortimer's commitment, and I know it's like part of your track that you have to do, but I just love your commitment to, I believe in science and nothing else, and that is the thing. That's going to, I understand you're doing something and I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's that. I don't think it's demons. We're going to explain it eventually, and I just love your commitment to that. And there was such a vivid moment with in my mind with Cecelie putting the flower petals on the young monk's lips. Like I fully saw, I wasn't here, I was watching it happen for a moment, and it's just like that with the descriptions that everyone gives. I lose myself, and I worry sometimes my face will go blank because I'm not present. I am watching the TV show of this game that we're doing. Which again, Jason, just the scene descriptions, I'm going to echo everyone and say, I'm terrified of this condition you gave me, mostly because I don't want to retire Cecelie at the same time. If I fail, that's terrifying. I love that, though. But yeah, I loved getting to have a little demon battle, and just like the way that things get to be worse and we get to have this vivid description of death, and then it's like, oh no, we're fine, it's great, continue. It's just like, oh no, sure. It's great. I'm having so much fun, and I'm sad we won't play next week, but you know, we're gonna come back and it's gonna be great.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and especially a huge thanks to Jason and the Gauntlet for partnering up with us on this actual play and for letting us get our grubby little mitts on the nearly finished new edition of the game. And once again, a huge thank you to my patrons who help keep the lights on here and also allow me to do indulgent things such as this and pay my incredibly talented cast and crew for their time. Thank you, a million times thank you. I'll be back next time, but until then, it's farewell and safe passage.